This video bears the fruit of my stay at Monte Sahaja, Sri Mooji's home and ashram in the rural hills of southern Portugal. It is a spontaneous conversation with the Master, which encourages all Course in Miracles students to take heart and trust that you can awaken in this lifetime. In this interview, Mooji speaks as the living truth, opening the door to move past intellectual understanding, beyond personal identity, and to discover the pure I am. Mooji, 4 years ago, I feel that you sprang out of the pages of A Course in Miracles, which I had been studying for about 14 years and teaching for about 7. And proved that everything the Course was leading me towards was true, and that is absolutely possible to awaken in this lifetime, and there is no reason not to.
Yes.
The Course spends a lot of time undoing, and I was making great progress undoing, just identity in chunks dropping away, and seeing the reflection of being less of a person in the people that I was interacting with. The Course says that a miracle does nothing except to undo, and that miracles are natural, and when they're not happening, something has gone wrong. So the forgiveness practice, according to the Course, is on a metaphysical level, recognizing that what we think our brother has done to us has never occurred, because nothing has ever happened, and on the practical level, forgiving everything, good and bad, to the Holy Spirit. I started noticing 4 years ago when I was listening to you that you were quoting the Course verbatim, and I knew you had not read the Course, certainly not from cover to cover. Yet phrases were falling out of your mouth, journey without distance, you are the light of the world, it is only a dream, that were the same. And it was like a thunderbolt for me that only the truth is true. The essence of everything is the same. And I think what will happen today, though I'm willing to flow with anything, is for one to brush off the dust and the crust from the conditioning that people have towards certain terms, like atonement, salvation, last judgment, Christ. They think of it a certain way, and you are the living embodiment of the essence of what these words are meant to be used for. And also, I'd like to read here and there.
Okay, that's good. Because I've not read it.
I know.
I still have not read. Not by any conscious, determined action or so on. It just hasn't come to that as yet. Perhaps one day I will pick it up and read something. But I'm not so. It's not because I just don't read that much actually.
Yes. For me, it's kind of like a love letter from Jesus. It's the voice of Jesus channeled through 2 New York City psychologists who were very worldly at the time, and it took 7 years for this book to come through. I feel like it's your brother Jesus, and he wrote this love letter, so I want to read you little bits of it, just in that spirit, and ask you questions, because you're the living Christ. I know this, and I don't even really know what that means. So, for instance, I'd love for you to explain to me, and to all of us, of course, what is the Christ coming fresh, no associations?
The Christ is not really a person. Christ does not point to a person. It's It is the God manifest. In human form. But I would have to say that it is just the spirit of being. And in order, the absolute, in fact, does not speak nor have opinions nor preferences and so on. No? Just out of its magnificence springs the dynamic consciousness. Its earliest expression is the feeling, the sense, I am. Yes. This sense, I am, is the consciousness announcing itself within the form. It says, I am, I exist, I exist, I exist always.
So Christ, presence, I am,
Yes.
all the same,
Consciousness,
different ways, consciousness.
yes, beingness. It is all the same. You know, you can, it emerges as we speak, what connotation it is best expresses at that moment to represent true in that moment. Because I would rather put it, it's not an object. Of course, you can think of Christ as Jesus Christ, as the person, a historical being within a certain phase of time, who lived for maybe 35 or 36 years or something on the earth and so on. And now we speak of the Christ consciousness, and very much one feels the love that one that is imbued in the Christ, the love of Jesus, or the love from Jesus, the love of Jesus, as it touches your heart through, for instance, Holy Scriptures and so on. No? So, yes. It will keep on emerging, I think, as we speak, you know, the various ways in which that Christ light, that consciousness light manifests itself. It is also because we also say, I am. It says, I am is a name of God. I am. I gave an example that when once I remember a passage that I often share with people, when Jesus was speaking to some teachers of the law and Pharisees and members of the Sanhedrin at the time, who were not his greatest supporters. You know? He was talking with them, and he said, if you knew the truth would set you free. You know? And they did not take nicely to that, because they said, well, you know, listen, we are children of Abraham, you know. Who are you talking to, you know? They felt very proud about this, as though being a children of Abraham automatically guaranteed their freedom or something. And Jesus retorted, he said, if you were true children of Abraham, you would accept me and the words I speak with you, because Abraham spoke of me. Now, Abraham had lived centuries and centuries before as a historical being. They said, look at this guy, what is he talking about? Again, here you go again, speaking these languages. What are you talking about? Our father Abraham lived many, many, many centuries ago. Are you saying that you are greater than Abraham? And he said, to tell you the truth, before Abraham was born, I am. Well, that just did it for them, you know. They could not comprehend. What is he talking about? How arrogant. What are you speaking? Your words don't make sense. What are you speaking? They were so angry that they wanted to stone him for speaking like that. But the power of God was so present in him, they could do nothing with him. And he walked straight through the crowd and made his way away from them. Now, why would he speak words that they could not comprehend even? I feel Jesus' words spoken at that time was for another generation yet unborn, even at that time, that would come to understand his meaning. There were people certainly at his own time, contemporary of his, who would have understood this, the more metaphysical language. But actually it was very clear in his mind. Before Abraham was born, I am. He's pointing to the I am. We also say I am. But when we generally speak I am, we're referring from a different point. We're speaking of a person. He's not speaking of his person. He's speaking of his being, of his presence,
And
of who he is.
he embodied authority among the
Yes.
authorities.
Yes. He was the embodiment of the authority because the Supreme manifests in various ways through all the different sages. So in some he gives the power to work miracles, in others he can remain totally silent or to alter the laws, natural laws, or to speak deeply into the heart of man, even without using words even. In each can manifest a different aspect of God because no one can totally comprehend or manifest all of the qualities of God.
You know, it says in the Course that Jesus is a manifestation of the Holy Spirit.
Yes.
And he says he was a man who became enlightened in so many words. And that this is simply a fact. There's no arrogance in it. It's obvious to me that you are the same. And it's reassuring to me that we can speak of this with you, that you can speak of the sage, the master, that you not only have moved from person to presence, but you are also of that source from which presence springs. I don't know how I know these things. There's just a recognition. And this is why it is the greatest blessing for me to sit with you.
I would have to say that everybody is.
And everybody is.
Potentially, I would say. That potential has to be actualized in that awakening, which we call the realization of the self. Because that seed is within us. We are and can never be separated from the source. But that has to be consciously recognized, not just intellectually. It has to be a deep psychic, spiritual, chemical reaction that happens in our being.
A deep psychic, spiritual, chemical reaction.
Yes, well, I didn't practice those words. I'm just saying it has to happen at such a deep, profound, organic level in ourselves. That is not just something that we believe. It is like in the instant of that seeing, it replaces who we thought we were.
Yes.
You see? And that has always been here. Because we refer to the source, to God, the supreme, the absolute awareness, consciousness. We refer to that as timeless and limitless, ever present. So that must mean it is here now. You see?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. And that it must be also very present in any sentient being because its nature is sentience. And we are speaking and we are in some way conversing from heart also, including our intellectual capacity, our deep intuitive abilities to learn and to comprehend things beyond their surface or logical limitations. We are touched in ways that brings profound understanding at a level that maybe cannot be proved in a laboratory. So I don't know if we can say these things.
When you say the nature is sentience,
yes.
I get tripped up there because now we're in the world of perception. Yes? And the Course talks about true perception and false perception. It also speaks of God mind and ego mind.
Yes.
So I had to get used to some of the Advaita language in following you.
Okay. It all works out, but we can go. You can ask whatever. No?
I want to read you something because it's just so beautiful and it describes you. It says, the Holy Spirit abides in the part of your mind that is part of the Christ mind. We could say, I am. The Holy Spirit is described as the remaining communication link between God and his separated sons. I see you as the communication link.
But I want to say the separated sons are not essentially separated. They're not truthfully separated. They're separated through a dream,
Yes.
which you may call life or existence, where consciousness manifests as multiplicity, but from one essential core, and that the core cannot truly divide. It can only do so through the power of that you may call what they may call Maya, or the play of God, or the mind of God. So,
Yesterday in the lunchroom, you said something about nobody wants to be zeros. We want to be heroes. And in the Course, there's a section called the hero, quote unquote, the hero of the dream. And Jesus says here, the body is the central figure in the dreaming of the world. There is no dream without it, the body, nor does the body exist without the dream, in which it acts as if it were a person to be seen and be believed. And this is exactly what you say. And I know Jesus led me to you to take me to the next level of not just deconstructing, okay, this is the ego, it is seen, this is the dream. I'm aware of this now, but to blow my mind, to light up the world. And I'm hoping that course students will get some juice into their practice. And I see many of them coming to you, and I think they've studied the course for 20 years or so. And then at some point, they burst out and find themselves at the feet of a living master. I want everybody to know that they don't need to remain as the person, and to even break through the sticky, thick, unconscious identity that has them completely believing that's all they are. So I'm listening to you, I hear you.
The consciousness for some time is fascinated with personhood. It's part of the intoxication when consciousness manifests as personality or plays as a human being, that for a time it will be deeply identified with the state, the body-mind, I'm the body, I'm my mind, and conditioning. That will be very deeply believed for some time. But it is already wired in such a way that it will start to malfunction at a certain point. That it will believe and it will enjoy the sense of privacy and the sense of uniqueness and autonomy, and my life belongs to me, and there's sort of pride and a certain amount of arrogance, and it wants to taste these flavors, for some time. But at a certain stage, it will stop seeming auspicious to be a person. It's a kind of grace that few will appreciate. Your dreams are going to start crashing, and your projections are exposed as really false, and your supports will start to crumble. This is what I mean, deconstructing in some way, that whatever is keeping the consciousness attached to that mode of personhood, it will not feel sweet. It will start to feel insecure, vulnerable. But all these are actually great support systems, getting you ready in a way to plunge more deeply, or if you want to say, to rise at a higher state of consciousness. Because it will not happen while we still have, hopeful attachments and so on to the state of duality or personhood. That will just keep on, flowing at that pace. But
Jesus says in here, you think you're happy, but you're not. And it seems to me that the ones who really think they're happy are the unluckiest.
Yes.
Because they have no motivation. They're so deeply asleep that at least in this lifetime they may not have a flicker.
Or deeply attached to their projections, like that there's no space for the light to come through, in a sense. But that is also part of the play, that will be like that. Because whatever stage the phase that the beings find themselves in, they still believe in their state and will not willingly exchange it, even though at times they may say, I really wish I was more like this. But if they could be swapped, they would long to go back to the state that they, because they've acquired the taste for delusion in some way, and it can still fit, and there's a way of functioning there, in many cases. It has to happen in your own body. It has to happen in this body.
It's true, because during the years that I was suffering and miserable and suicidal, when I asked myself, would I rather be this other person who appears so happy? The honest answer was no. I want to get to be me. And I had to go through a process of becoming a me.
Yes.
And then I started to lose interest in me. And there were qualities coming through that were the opposite of what I had been raised with. For instance, I was raised to be very careful about money. And I started having the desire to freely give money away.
Yes.
And so when you speak of qualities, I think you say something to the effect that qualities are still perceived. Yet I wanted to ask you, it seems like a refinement of something that I started to come into qualities of more fearlessness. I won't say less fear. I felt more fearless. Do you understand?
Yes.
More generous. Definitely
this
non-judgmental.
This is the wonderfulness of consciousness, because as we grow in the trust, the surrender, or the confidence to begin to be open to what is really underlying our self-perceived notion of ourselves, and then a greater space is opening up. And in that space, it's a kind of mystical space. Just these aspects of ourselves are emerging, as you say, something that may have seemed out of character. These can start to arise within you. It can take different forms also. It can be that suddenly I know someone who grew up with dogs, and then at a certain stage in her awakening, she became very, very afraid of dogs, even little chihuahuas and stuff. She would just something. And she said, I don't understand this. I always grew up with dogs, but at the moment something is behaving here like this. I said, don't worry, it's just being burped out. So, but on the whole, much more expansive. And you become more conscious that it can be left alone, that it's in the hands of a higher power. Then you see, like this, something is working on your behalf, and not totally independent of you. You are growing into that, actually. You're growing internally, inside, to be more one with that. But there's still a duality that will keep on following the process for a while until it just thins out and is no more seen or felt.
The phrase once came to me that I was thinning away like the heel of a threadbare sock. And I don't have to try to remember it. It just comes back, so I know it's not of the person.
Yes. It's what is beautiful is that as one is disappearing personally, your full presence is felt. Greater sense of presence is felt. Because the whole fear was that my person is all I know. For most people, their person is all they feel they know. And that they're being called to step into the unknown. Whereas as you fall more deeply inside your true nature, then you feel you know less and less, but yet you are more and more true and clear and alive, really.
Yes. It's so wonderful to not know anything.
Yes. You see, who understands this, though? Only from inside the experience, you see.
So relaxing.
Yes.
Westerners, speaking for myself, very tense.
Yes.
And I find just being around you, sometimes I'm unable to hear your words, but there's this breathing, this...
Yeah. Because you don't have to carry anything. You're not carrying, you see. So there's this space of inside and outside. They're also losing their markers, you see. and I and you, the distinctions that the ego needs to retain and sustain and maintain, they're loosening as you come more in your universal being. Fear is going also like this.
And also, fear is seen. I notice the person still has fears or tensions, but I don't feel invested in those fears or tensions. So if I bite my fingers and I think, oh, I should have stopped by now, I should be more peaceful, then I'm like, that's just a person thought. I don't have to
Yes.
bother with that.
This is true.
When I moved to Florida from New York City, little did I know that I would feel safer on the mean streets of New York City than I feel in this remote area of Florida, which is paradise. But it turns out that there are wild animals walking around. I haven't seen one alligator, but I have had bobcats, black bear, a herd of wild boar walking right through my property. And sometimes I'm afraid to go outside and take a walk. And then I tell myself, ego tells me, you see, you're not getting anywhere. You're still a person. You're afraid to take a walk. And I want to check with you. That's nothing if I don't listen to that. And I do a lot of Om Namah Shivaya while I'm walking, too. But I just want to check sometimes that this is an honest dismissal of a voice that doesn't matter, that's not even real.
You know, the self does not need to be brave. It is not. It is fearless, but it doesn't know it is fearless. It doesn't have something to be afraid of in that way.
Yeah.
And yet, as long as we have a human form, I mean, you would not go and put your hand in the fire because, you know, it's not what you are or whatever like this. There are some things that must respect also the laws of nature. You're not here to demonstrate that you're greater than them, than this in that way. Unless somehow a movement arises inside to do this, but not to test things out. But if it arises, like you need to go, if you needed to go somewhere and you have to go through a forest and you need to go there, you just go through there. But if you have to think about going through there, you see, it means that it's not, you don't need to go. It's just now you start thinking, but I should be able to go.
Yes.
Because, you know, I'm supposed to be free of all these things. That is different. So there's a saying, don't put the Lord your God to the test. In the sense that, you know, like you're testing out to see if that is true or not. And yet at times you have to. But it's not when you've calculated it. It's just when somehow you need to go and someone says, you need to come right now, and you just come, you don't think about it, you just go. Because that's what needs to happen in this moment, you see.
And it feels natural and spontaneous.
You're coming out of the person who is not natural and spontaneous. As we come out of the person, those fears and calculations will depart from us. They will take their DNA out as well too. One of the women here, she offered to dance for me with this drum called a hang. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. She was so supple. Because at certain points, she just lifted her legs completely straight like this, standing like this. It was so great. Now after this dance, I said, this is a really beautiful dance, no? I said, you know, you warm up for this? And she said, no, I didn't warm up. I said, actually, like after a while, it's just like you don't need to warm up in a way. And when I hear things like that, immediately it brings me to the self, you see. You never have to warm up. You never have to prepare. The self is like that. It's not like the mind. The person has insecurities and doubts, so they have to make sure that they at least have be prepared for what doubts may come. But the self not. It never needs to warm up or to defrost or to, you know, get into the mood or something like that. That's not the self. The mind maybe, you have to, somehow pacify and subdue or make him more humble or something, then it can be more in harmony with the flow of the cosmic, manifest.
You know, A Course in Miracles doesn't use the word I am, but it does say, I am as God created me. It's a longer phrase, and it talks about how projection makes perception. You've used the word projection many times, and sometimes you use this phrase, seed of identity. I'd like to hear from you on the seed of identity, because my understanding is that the ego actually begins in the mind. There's this section here that says, projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you, it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. You speak like this, as a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Perception is a result and not a cause, and that is why order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless, because Jesus says a miracle is love. That's it. Love is love.
Yes, what I said is we are perceiving what we are conceiving also. That whatever we believe, whatever we are brought to believe that this is so and so, that will be what you will experience.
And does this occur even before form?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I have the sense, I don't know how, that there is absolute being, which has no awareness of itself and is the source. And that somehow there is an emergence from this being, and the being is regarded in a state of joy and bliss.
First of all, we cannot say it has no awareness of itself. It is itself. It is itself awareness. And when I would rather say that it knows it is, but it doesn't know that it is necessarily from the human perspective when we say complete, or that it knows it is infinite, but not in the classical use of the word, like something knows something else. It knows it is, and
it doesn't know something else. It knows itself.
There is nothing else.
There is nothing else.
There is nothing else. The manifest world is arising out of it, just like in each body, a unique movie or dream arises inside this body. And every aspect of that dream is linked inside this body. It's somehow it's being dreamed inside this body. It's not happening in another body, that dream. Just as the dreams are unique and cannot be shared, even with the person you love the most. You can speak about it, but you cannot plug them in and have an instant replay of what your dream is. Even if your dream occurred a second time, it will be experienced differently.
Yes. And is the collective dream Maya?
Yes, you can say that the collective dreaming is Maya. And we go beyond all of that, because you start to see the flimsiness, the fickleness of thought, and how trivial it really is, how weak it is, actually. Its strength is only in the belief in it. It has no strength by itself. So the wise, they just ignore that. They're not relating to that world apart from on behalf of those who seem to be more deeply involved in it. They'll relate through the language of their belief. But they themselves are not affected by it in that way. The world is much simpler, much, much more simple. It's not a world about knowledge of things. That is not regarded as real knowledge, but more kind of learned ignorance. The real knowledge cannot be a book even. It is just the It is just the intuitive knowingness of existence unto itself. It's just, I'm just here, you know. Out of this, everything is springing. Everything springs spontaneously. I'm not keeping anything at all.
Yes, yes, I want to share this with you because you say this all the time and it relates to what you just said. The course consists of 3 books under one cover: the text, which is the metaphysical foundation, the workbook, which is a daily practice for a year, and the manual for teachers, which is really for those who want to go to the next level and awaken. Everybody's invited, obviously. So in lesson 189, which is called I Feel the Love of God Within Me Now, Jesus says, as do you all the time, Mooji. Simply do this. Be still and lay aside all thoughts of what you are and what God is, all concepts you have learned about the world, all images you hold about yourself. Empty your mind of everything it thinks is either true or false, or good or bad, of every thought it judges worthy, and all the ideas of which it is ashamed. Hold on to nothing. Do not bring with you one thought the past has taught, nor one belief you ever learned before anything. Forget this world, forget this course, and come with wholly empty hands unto your God.
When you have left everything like that, you don't have to go anywhere. You'll find that you are in and one with the presence of God right where you stand. You don't have to do a second action. You can leave everything. In fact, you can leave everything without performing an action to leave them. Because it is such an inner thing. You leave only your attachments to them. Because they are also made of God, those things. But your attachment binds you and creates a duality in you that is not original. It's not there. It is not real. That's where it comes in the mind. And that thing becomes alive in the mind. So leave them means leave them alone. Not leave them. No, leave them alone. You're combining yourself with them or anything or any philosophy. As I say also, don't make any tattoos out of any teaching, but follow them where they're pointing, and you find that your Lord is there, right where they are, if it is true.
Don't make any tattoos.
Out of any utterance at all. Find what they're pointing to. Be one with that. Because it has to come to a state where you are not keeping anything up, you're not practicing anything at all. You're not sustaining or maintaining, not upkeeping. You see, everything is fallen, including the notion you have of yourself or of God.
Do you feel the essence of the word or the concept atonement is at one-ment?
It can be, I've heard it put in this way. You know, I have thrown away all words and concepts to do that. It happened because I didn't say I threw them because just coming to the complete and finding that there's no book there, you know, and there's no instructions there, there's no hierarchy there. So I didn't do a great thing. I do just what happened, something just, yes, of course, one continues speaking words and using words and concepts and very effectively and needfully at times. But none of them stick, like like drawing a picture of a pie in the sky and nothing, you cannot see it, it's not there. Doesn't stick like that. And yet, in some beautiful, phenomenal way, the mind can continue to be used in that way because as the language of life at different levels, just in the same way with some beings you can be totally quiet, and others, you have to stay with them with words and so on, because otherwise they just they need words to hold something, but you don't decide that beforehand, just intuitively, because the truth does not have to prepare for anything at all.
It's a great relief when you say that we don't have to be tormented by the psychological mind, but the mind can be in service of the heart.
When the heart desires it.
When the heart desires it.
If it wants to use it, yeah, because it doesn't see any real separateness from mind in its essential nature. Mind and self is the same thing in its essential nature. But the perverted mind, that which carries the notion of a separate self, and then goes out to protect and to serve that separate self, that is the false mind, or the mind behaving with falsehood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in the same way, we all say I am, but the I am is like a shapeshifter, you can say. It's naturally hasn't moved in a sense, but it can be applied in different ways. Because as I said, God says I am. The devil also says I am. Ego also say I am. Are they speaking same thing? You see? So as one even experiences the lessening fragrance of the ego, the I am is still present. It's just free of those confined concepts and sticky ideas. And even to how far can the I am go, in fact? It goes right into the God self. The I am is there. But by that time, it's completely free from any egoic notions. When Sri Maharaj spoke and say, I am that principle, I am that principle that witnessed the dissolution of the entire universe, yet I remain untouched. I am that principle. Who is this I am? Certainly not the person who is full of arrogance and selfishness. So the I am goes very, very high until words themselves vanish. And the self does not have to be without words. Because even when it manifests as multiplicity, it is still one essential whole. It doesn't lose anything of itself. It's only that it imparts or infuses in each form a certain quality of consciousness in order to feel the autonomy of and use the sense I am as autonomy for a while. But that seed can transform into the highest.
Where I'm at is in a process of reminding myself of I am.
Your intuitive awareness of yourself is the I am principle. The fact that you know you exist even before you speak, or sometimes we say, but I was unconscious of being myself. Yeah, you say like this. So I was not conscious of being my I am, not conscious of being.
Yes.
Well, then I may ask you, is that so during your unconscious state or afterwards? You say, no, afterwards I became aware that for 10 minutes I've been unconscious about something. I say, well, then don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. It is still a kind of a mental state. The feeling that I was unconscious of me. When I said before, no, I say I am before the idea came that I needed to remember myself, or that indeed I could forget myself, was believed. So before believing it, the idea that I could forget myself is only an idea. I can't forget myself. Or that I need to remember myself. Also, that's not. A fact is there before the movement of consciousness to take the shape of remembering or forgetting.
Yes.
It is.
The Course says God is,
Yeah.
and then we cease to speak.
You have to move that somehow to disappear as person and to remain as pure presence, as and then you are at one with God. You are not equal with God, because equal with God means two things being equal. At one means in total unity and unicity. You see, it's a much cleaner word than equal with, because the
Yes.
God is immeasurable. But even the purest realization inside the human form is still a limitation, still with a limitation. It is unlimitedness with limitedness. You see? But it does not, it is still the whole, just like if I take, a spoon full of ocean water, it is still the ocean. But it's not right for me to say, I can say the waves belong to the ocean, because wave is water, ocean is water. But it doesn't feel right to say the ocean belongs to the wave.
Yes.
You see that is? So, yet they are one.
This lesson I just read from, I feel the love of God within me now. When I sit with this, I feel the love of God within me now.
Why not as you?
Yeah.
Where is there space for anything other than
This
the
is
love of
why I'm
God?
here, because
And
within me,
yeah,
some kind of
yeah. So this is where the inquiry begins to sort of like fully blow the air that is still creased. It blows and fills it all out, because then the me can still escape as being something separate that God fills. But sometimes, you see, that's why it's so beautiful to look into this me feeling. What might be hidden there. What could it be? Maybe the me could be something, a something which is a phenomenal quality, but very subtle, or it can still be a no thing and still shine as me, as the sense I am. When me and I am are the same, meaning I am and ego, it means nothing at all. Is what ego means nothing at all. Where is the room for it, ego? What is this notion? As long as the belief is there, the vibration, the energy of those thoughts believed in, energize them and turn them into a kind of like appear to be a living force. You see, the sense of autonomy, the belief I am this body. Therefore, I am the one who chooses from this body. This is my life. To do with it what I want. This is the arrogance.
yes.
You see, because it is not true also. But it can be believed. And this is what I say, we suffer from person poison, the poison of personhood, because it cuts you off effectively and experientially from the unity of God, from the completeness, which allows you the grace to be empty. We always have to be retaining a notion of self, because it wants something, it needs to get somewhere. It feels like it's getting less and less, but it will never be fully gone. It could be hiding a subtle fear about disappearance. You see, so the inquiry penetrates right through to every corner, every crease, every crack.
Yes, I am
Yes,
with you. I am with you.
Yes, yes.
The body is regarded more like my car these days.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. Just like I maintain my car, put gas in it, enjoy driving it. If the body has a physical issue, so much less concern about that. Whereas in the past, I'd worry about my health, just fallen away.
Behind and imbued through all your actions and thoughts and speech and so on, should be this emptiness underlying everything. It is the potent source of them. So when you speak and something is acting very spontaneously, but it arises out of this emptiness.
I do feel.
Yes, yes.
I love you so much.
Yes. Eventually, you're not going anywhere at all. You're not going anywhere at all. You have never been going anywhere at all, except in a dream. There's an outer sense of a journey in which we feel we're here for a purpose, and to walk miles and to do things and to change and to fix and to heal and to transform and to become or something. But in the ripeness of our inner ripeness and refinement, there's a disappearing, there's a thinning away. And yet in this thinning away, there is a completeness. No? That if we only imagine or hear about, we find no place for this completeness. It feels more like an ultimate failure. If looked at from the place where the person is venerated, it will look like it's just ultimate disaster, because it look in the same light as death.
Yes.
And the ego merging or disappearing, or whatever words we use for it, is a kind of death, but it's like what the Christ say, don't look at the tomb for me. Don't look to the tomb for me. I am already in your heart. Don't look there for me.
And there's a section in the Course called The Message of the Crucifixion, where he says, the only message could be, teach only love, for that is what you are. The resurrection.
When you be only love, when you are only love, beyond even the urge to even share, because it's like the sun does not decide to shine.
And he does say this is a beginning, not an ending.
Yes.
So that you connect with the Holy Spirit, the I am.
beginning and the ending is no distance, actually. It's only a twist of consciousness. You will be the love, and then the act to love is contained in the being of love. It finds its way to every place without needing to be guided, you see. It goes through walls. It doesn't have to go through doors and windows. This is the nature of the love that you are. It is the creator. It is so great, it can create something to appear as its opposite. And yet it is undefeatable. It shines as knowledge, as the light of truth and the spirit of being. It holds all things together, and yet give them the sense of freedom in their momentary appearance as separateness. For nothing can exist outside of its realm, and it has no boundary. We come to know this only inside the heart. You know these things. Love is the subject, it's not an object, nor an objective. It is the radiance of the subject, and it is the subject also, as truth is and the light of truth. The Holy Spirit, the power of the Holy Spirit, the spirit of being. It's all one unicity. It is always immediate.
You have silenced the interviewer. May I come?
This great love that is God, though it can move through walls, still it knocks at your door. For this taste of saying yes, I receive you. Amazing. It cannot be received nor given because it permeates and pervades everything. But it plays as this. That is its sweetness. That is its joy.
Thank you for melting me away.
Yes.
Thank you, thank you.
There's a current, the current of God. It's like it is always present. It is really the humming of existence. And when it ignites in this love energy, it's like turning up the dimmer switch of this current, which is vibrating inside. That is the ananda. That is the joy that one feels. It gives you the confidence to let go of knowledge. The knowledge only arises like a fragrance out of it. Because of this vibration, the world is made over and over again.
The Course does say we're only reviewing the past. It's over.
And yet, in the ultimate, there's no past and no future, no present. But this is very difficult once the consciousness manifests as time. It is very difficult to understand this timeless because the beings, they are attached to evolution, to growth, and because of this, they are attached to time and to memory, aspiration, the future. But even the present, is so interpretable through the mind of of that consciousness in its aspectless person. Because nothing, even in the present moment, has any meaning in itself. It's just the meaning that you give it. And you give it different meanings depending upon our moods. The fullness of the moon will make you think differently. Even in one unit of consciousness called a body, our daily understanding is shaped by so many factors which are untraceable. Every moment is fresh. And yet in one life, it can seem like nothing is changing, it's boring, nothing is moving. Because depending upon how much light is pouring from the soul. If the light of true intellect and the true understanding and love is not, if it's a little bit obscured or blocked, which only grace, only God can make that feeling also happen. If it is blocked in that way, it's as though the joy, the juice of perception is not in the function of perception. There's no joy in it because the spirit is oppressed. Everything needs this ananda. It cannot live without this vibration. Even in the most subtle form, it must be there. But as the ego is going, the vibration becomes more pronounced.
Is Ananda where duality begins?
Duality really begins in the feeling, I am this. I am this. I am this body. Because that must be the first formed. The I am is the firstborn. The I am is the firstborn. Is the intuitive way in which we know that we exist, the untaught way that we recognize ourselves.
Do we know this in the womb?
There's no we in the womb. There's just the potential of consciousness that must somehow mature with the body. It's growing with the body into the zone of learning and perception and to know and identify through the senses and the mind. It has to mature. It has to go through the period of consciousness, it has to go through a period of childhood and teenager and all these things. It has to grow through those seasons.
Even Jesus, the three kings knew who he was, but
yes.
Even at 12, wasn't he teaching the rabbis?
In the beginning, the seed is in him. The seed is in him. So the seed, some children are born, they could be all born in this room. At the same time, they're born. But each will demonstrate different inclination. One will just love to play, another one would like to just sit and look at the stars. Another one is just fiercely curious about everything. Another one is interested in nothing. You see? Another one has a powerful memory. The other one forgets everything. Where did this comes from the seed of consciousness by the will of God.
Another one smiles at everybody. I never knew why. I just smile at every face that comes in front of me.
Yes,
some people get angry. What are you smiling about? Some people think I'm shirking my work. You're too happy behind that desk. It just does that.
When the happiness is coming out of the emptiness, and then they will not look at you like that. The happiness comes from the emptiness and not from a person. Then that power will be instilled in them. When they see you, they become a part of you. A part of you become them. And they begin just for a moment to see with your light. This is why as you become back into your Christ light, you see, then people will automatically, the part of them who knows you, they recognize this one. Those who have a yearning for knowledge and for God will automatically be brought to you. They automatically will come and they'll recognize that they're in a space of auspiciousness. They just know it. And you'll meet people who even say, I don't believe in God. But if you meet if you meet them and something inside by the light of grace opens a little bit, they will be changed. In a way, nothing else on the planet can change them. But this spark can change them. They'll meet something they cannot understand. That touch the heart. we must throw everything into this fire, including yourself, to be totally consumed there. And then you see how small we have lived, and to be raised up in such a beautiful way in the light of God. Because when you're in a certain state, you feel that this state is totally natural and this is all there is until you're coming out. When you come out, you can look and say, oh my God, that was very tight. I didn't realize it was so tight, because you're coming into greater space.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how it is when you're coming out of the egoic dependency. You start to realize, whoa. And the minute that taste enters again, then there is such a burning urge to complete everything, to throw everything, and not to salvage anything from the old regime. And this is the fire of grace that makes that so potently alive. That can convert someone internally, where you're no longer the person you were. May all those who are presently studying the Course in Miracles, because I know that your heart is yearning for the same that every true seeker is seeking. Be blessed with the shortcuts. Don't be buried into too much mental understanding or turn it into some kind of mind feast, but more just strip down and jump in this fire, this inner fire.
Amen.
Amen. So many beings, they come and then they find, my God, even the little learning I had is gone. Or I thought I had to learn more, and I realized that I know nothing at all in the first place. And for a while, they may feel lost. I said, no, 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 no. You're being found. Sometimes you have to go through the sense of being lost. It's part of your recovery. The recovering consciousness has to go back again to zero. Because everything is collected in the name of identity is unreliable. But it can be very quick, very quick, very quick. What we can gain from the Father is like nothing to be found in this world, because it's not an object. It's almost like looking through a window into your own soul. And a window that pulls you in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So the Spirit of Truth, I don't know if you know or recognize him, he's very much here. The presence of God becomes increasingly tangible, palpable inside, and merges all that was considered to be personal, is merging it inside the oneness, inside the completeness. Our place is only to feel yes. Yes. Thank you. You don't need any measuring tape. You don't need any scales. Just your thank you, thank you, thank you, yes, yes. Let me be totally absorbed.
You know, tomorrow is my birthday,
Mm.
and I'm thinking of it as my unborn day. Every day is unborn day now.
That's very nice, very good.
Best birthday ever.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love. So again, that may all whose heart is beating for liberation, for the truth, come fully into the complete realization of the self in the heart, timelessly. They each continue to grow in wisdom and the powerful light of presence. So much so that all who meet you on the path of life is so profoundly touched and inspired by such encounter that they'll be touched by your light and grace, your silence and stillness, your peace, your joy, your giving, so that they in turn may search within themselves for that which they see evidenced in your presence and find complete joy. Let it be so. Om Shanti Shanti.